So in response to the ATF's pending pistol brace ban, a new bill is being pushed in Congress which actually aims to remove SBRs from the NFA and to prevent the ATF from regulating these types of items. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think that the NFA needs to be done away with, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also want to thank everybody who recently subscribed to the channel. One of my goals before the end of the year was to reach 400,000 subscribers, and you guys have absolutely crushed that goal. We reached that way faster than I thought. So now we're marching towards 500,000 subscribers. That's going to be one of my goals for next year. But I just wanted to stop and say thank you to everybody who subscribed to the channel. And also just mention that if you're not currently subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. It helps me actually to get a lot of traction on the channel and to further educate people and bring this type of Second Amendment awareness to more people. How's it going, everyone? My name is Anthony Miranda. I am a licensed and practicing attorney in the state of California with an emphasis on Second Amendment rights. I've been part of Second Amendment litigation both at a state level and a national level, while serving as a staff attorney with the Firearms Policy Coalition legal team. As I mentioned in the intro, in this video we'll be talking about a new bill which is currently being pushed in Congress, which aims to remove short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns from the NFA's definition of a firearm and therefore remove the NFA's restrictions and regulations on those items. The bill we're going to be talking about in this video is S4986, also known as the Stop Harassing Owners of Rifles Today Act, also known as the SHORT Act. Under the text of this bill, it will remove the term shotgun, rifle, and other terms from the definition of a firearm in section 5845 of the NFA. The effect of removing those terms from the NFA would essentially make it so that short-barreled shotguns and short-barreled rifles and other items as well will no longer be regulated by the NFA, and the ATF will no longer have regulatory authority over those items. The bill also adds in a section where it makes it so that your lawful purchase of an SBR through a gun store and you going through a background check, all that would be needed for you to be lawfully in possession of that SBR. The SHORT Act also makes it so that federally and also at a state level, no tax can ever be enforced against the purchase and possession of SBRs and SBSs. Finally, the SHORT Act includes language which requires the ATF to destroy all the records that they have about registered SBRs and SBSs, and they must destroy all those records within a year after this bill goes into effect. So generally, that's what the SHORT Act aims to do. But the reason why this bill is getting a heavy push right now and is getting some publicity right now is because pro-gun individuals in Congress and pro-gun organizations are pushing for this because of the looming ATF pistol brace rule, which is planning to drop sometime this December. If you're not aware, the ATF plans to introduce a new rule regulating all firearms that have a pistol brace attached to them. The ATF seeks to create a new rule where any firearm with a pistol brace attached to it would likely be considered to be an SBR and therefore be subject to the NFA's requirements. This means that the ATF wants to make all firearms with a brace attached to them subject to registration requirements and taxation requirements as well, and that the ATF will treat those types of firearms, these commonly owned pistols with braces on them, they will now try to treat them to be actually SBRs. This ATF proposed rule created a weird report card system where you would need to add up points to your card based on what type of features you had attached to the specific firearm that you had. This system essentially led to any firearm with a brace attached to it now being considered to be an SBR. Last year, the Department of Justice also released a statement of their intent of what they plan to do with this pistol brace rule. They stated that the DOJ is planning to amend the regulations of the ATF and set forth factors considered when evaluating firearms with an attached stabilizing brace to determine whether they are considered firearms under the National Firearms Act and also under the Gun Control Act. The proposed pistol brace rule will amend the definition of rifle in the Code of Federal Regulations by adding a sentence at the end of each of the definitions. The new sentence would clarify that the term rifle includes any weapon with a rifled barrel equipped with an attached stabilizing brace that has objective design features and characteristics that indicate that the firearm is designed to be fired from the shoulder, as identified and as indicated on the ATF's worksheet 4999. So in the DOJ statement on the intent of the new pistol brace rule, they stated that they are creating a new factor for determining when a firearm has objective features, which indicate that the firearm with a brace on it is intended to be fired from the shoulder, and therefore they will now consider it to be a rifle instead of a pistol. In doing this, the ATF is coming up with a worksheet that you heard them mention that has a list of various characteristics, and you add up these points, you add up this kind of report card system, and if you meet a certain point threshold, then all of a sudden this firearm that you have is magically now an SBR, subject to the ATF's restrictions, registration requirements, and taxation as well. The catch with the report card system in this worksheet 4999 is that almost any firearm with an attached stabilizing brace to it would get enough points that it would now be considered to be an SBR and be subject to all those requirements. Now, after the ATF released that proposed rule, we all went and commented on it, and since then we've been waiting to see what the ATF is deciding to do. Now, in the meantime, there's been some cases going against the ATF and against the ATF's actions against pistol braces and other things as well. One of those cases is in the Northern District of Texas and is again challenging the ATF's various rules regulating firearms with pistol braces attached to them. In that specific lawsuit against the ATF stated that on June 10th, 2021, defendants published in the Federal Register a proposed rule on factoring criteria for firearms with an attached stabilizing brace. That was their proposed rule. The proposed rule provided a 90-day comment period during which the agency received 211,564 comments. So that's the number of comments that they are now reporting that they got. They go on to state that the agency has since processed all those comments and is presently in the process of drafting the final rule, which includes preparing responses to comments and engaging in other deliberative activities. It then states that the agency currently expects to publish a final rule on December of 2022. So in this case, the ATF is definitively stating that they have now indicated that they plan to drop the pistol brace rule sometime this year before the end of December. And it's because of this looming ATF rule on pistol braces that members of Congress have now introduced the Short Act and are now pushing for the Short Act to actually go into effect. And their whole goal is that by striking the terms SBRs and SBSs from the actual definitions in the NFA, this whole pistol brace rule would now essentially be void and would really have no effect. It wouldn't matter if the ATF's new rule on pistol braces treats various pistols with braces attached to them to now be SBRs or SBSs, because SBRs and SBSs would no longer be regulated at all at a federal level. If this bill passed, it would also likely make the use of pistol braces almost irrelevant, since most people would likely just simply decide that they want to shift to using stocks, because then they would no longer be regulated at a federal level, and it wouldn't really matter if you had something in a configuration that used to be considered to be an SBR and would come with all those other attachment stuff with it where you would have to register it or tax it. So it wouldn't really matter anymore. The use of a pistol brace would no longer really be relevant. And so kind of what this aims to do is kind of just attack it at its head and to kind of cut off the head of the snake. Now, if you were to ask my opinion, it's very, very unlikely that the Short Act will ever pass. Currently, right now, Congress is in a lame duck phase with the new members of Congress coming in at the beginning of the year. Also, right now, Biden and his administration are currently pushing hard for anti-gun agendas. They're pushing for an anti-gun bill to pass. They're wanting it to pass the Senate, and that is HR 1808. I've talked about it on a prior video. That bill treats almost every semi-automatic rifle as a so-called assault weapon, and therefore would ban the possession of them going forward. So this bill has some sort of utility, at least giving the ATF some pause, but right now I don't see a bill like this actually passing. But still, I always recommend that you reach out to your representatives and let them know that you support bills like this. It also serves as a really good starting point to make your representatives aware of the ATF's current actions and their current plans to drop that new rule on pistol braces. This kind of opens the discussion for that because, again, your representatives likely are not even aware of what's going on right now with the ATF and pistol braces and all these issues. And that's very sad, but at least this bill gives you a starting point and some sort of discussion point to kind of bring this to their attention. So I'll be keeping my eyes on this. If anything else further develops, I'll let you all know. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you guys like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Algor's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. As always, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, helping me to reach and educate more people than I could ever do on my own. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this station is built by Armed Scholars, and this nation will be maintained by Armed Scholars.